Imagine that you are living the life that you had imagined. You got good grades, you got a good job, you got another job, you got promoted, and you find yourself as vice president of a mortgage company, and you're living the life of purpose that you wanted. It's fulfilling, you enjoy it, and one other thing, you've always been a good driver, but then one day you get in an accident, and the worst part is it was your fault. You clipped a Cadillac, you just didn't see it. You realize after that your peripheral vision isn't really that great and your vision at night is getting worse. And specialists, tests, doctors, pretty soon you learn some new words. Retinitis pigmentosa. What it means is you're going to lose nearly all of your vision. You will be legally blind. No more driving to work, no more driving, no more working at a job with a lot of documents with a lot of fine print. Well, what are you going to do about it? You could either be really mad, you could be pretty frustrated, really withdraw, or if your name is Doreen Martel, you decide to just deal with it and move forward. You get a computer with some assistive technology, you learn how to use the vision that you do have to be able to be productive. And you've always liked writing, so you look around for some marketplaces where you can sell your writing services. And you find one that's named after a dog that will never be recognized by the Westminster Kennel Club. The business is called Blog Mutt. The motto is, "We work like a dog to fill up your blog." You think, is that really their motto, you think? Like, how can I go to work for a platform like this? But you do, you learn about them, and you find that there's lots of interesting clients, lots of interesting work, and there's a great sort of fellowship of other writers in a forum that's on the BlogMutt site. The forum is called The Pound. The writers came up with this name because that's where all the mutts hang out. And you get to enjoy and you get purpose from a new kind of life, a new kind of work with BlogMutt. All right, that story that I just told about a unique person told in an interesting way, telling a story like that, I have to say, is in my comfort zone. I started my work life as a reporter and a writer, and I love that kind of thing. Much harder for me is to talk about myself, to really share things about my own experiences. And, but I feel like this is a safe room, which is important, and I'm going to talk about that. So I hope you'll give me a little latitude to talk about my own story a little bit. To do that, I need to give a little bit of background. One day, I was still working as a reporter, but I got stuck in traffic, and I wondered why it was I couldn't find out about the traffic jam that I was stuck in before I went out onto the highways. And I couldn't find anything to help me, so this was before the iPhone. So I started a company to help do just that, just send you an email to tell you how your drive home was going to be. Right when I was in the first stages of starting that company, I met this good-looking woman, and I told her about what I was doing, and she seemed really impressed. And I did better with her than I did with any of the girls I dated when I was a reporter. And I did so well, she actually agreed to marry me. She's here tonight with our son, so thank you very much. Yes. And you know, she told me later that it was a part of the thing. Like, it was impressive that I was starting something and going with it. So that's a little tip for you if you're trying to woo somebody. Start something and go with it. But I had a great time running this company. It was small, but it did well, and it was enjoyable. An interesting thing would happen, though. I'd come to events like this, or I'd just meet people randomly, and very quite often I had somebody say to me, "You know, I had the same idea for a business." And I would say, "Oh, well, why didn't you start it?" I mean, I wasn't trying to embarrass them. I really wanted to know. Maybe they knew something I didn't about why this was a bad idea. And they always had something external, right? Some reason that didn't have to do with the business, like maybe their wife didn't think that it would be good for them to do something so risky. And I think that was really just an excuse. As we've learned, chicks dig it when you start something new. So, but what I don't want to minimize in what was going on for them was that starting something new is hard, right? Like, it's very easy to say, hey, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's very hard to actually feel fear and do anything. But it is possible to do it, and I was able to get the company going and got a patent on it, grew it nicely, and actually was able to sell it. Sold that business to a company that got acquired, and then that company got acquired, and alas, my patent and my idea are now part of Microsoft, but that's okay. So after that, I was feeling pretty good about being an entrepreneur. I was feeling really almost kind of invincible about that. And if you've ever seen any movie ever, you know what happens to the character that feels invincible. He's going to get his. So I started a second company, and I did some things differently. And one of the things I did was brought investors into this business. And so, you know, egos got tested, and loyalty got tested. I got really tested, and I had a really tough time with that. I had to actually shut the business down and go through what was really a really painful period in my life. It's the kind of pain that makes people not want to start new things because they know that that's a possibility. And I'm here to tell you that I survived it. I came through the other side. It didn't actually kill me. I thought it would, but it didn't, and I survived. And so, you know, I needed to do something with my life after that. Luckily, the idea itself still survived, and I was able to sell that, and that's still operating to this day, so that's great. But I went from that and decided that I should do something different, so I went back to my roots and wrote a nonfiction book. There's a great writer that grew up here in Denver named Gene Fowler, turn of the century, who said, writing is easy. You just sit staring at a blank sheet of paper until drops of blood appear on their forehead. So writing the book was hard, and I decided after this maybe I should go back to being an entrepreneur. So I started this company called Blog Mutt. We're a platform for writers to be able to write for customers that need the blog posts written. And it's been a really pretty magical thing. We have more than 10,000 writers on our platform now. And they tell us quite often that they like it because it's a safe and respectful place for them. They feel that they're part of something that they're being respected in. We have a writer who was actually diagnosed with cancer, and she wrote to us and said she was really comforted knowing that even from her hospital bed she'd be able to write blog posts. And it turns out it was a misdiagnosis, so she's healthy, thank God, and she's doing well and writing to this day. We've had writers tell us, we have a great couple, Jill and Simon, who are a married couple, and they had a kid, and when their second kid was on the way, they said, you know, how are we going to keep doing this? How are we going to keep, both of us going to work? And they figured out that with their BlogMutt earnings, they would be able to make enough to be able to live the parenting way the style that they wanted to live, which is that she would stay home with the kids because of their BlogMutt earnings. So, a part of I think what is magical about it is that we do provide that safe place online, which is we've been talking a lot about sort of day-to-day jobs, but I think it's also important to remember people that are working for us online and working for us remotely, and how important it is to try to create a safe online space for them. And then we also try to create a safe space for our employees. We have an employee who was working remotely a couple weekends ago, and I thought I might want to check in with him and see how he was doing. And he said that he was actually really affected by the news out of Orlando, and I had a hunch that that might be the case. And I said, listen, I just want you to know that when you're working with BlogMutt, you're working in a safe place. And he said he appreciated that. And then I came to work a couple days later, and there was a bag of Skittles on my desk with a little note that said, thanks very much. It was really nice to hear that it was a safe place. And so here's some candy with a rainbow on the cover. And I thought that was really nice. And so my challenge for you, and I actually have something to help with this. My son is here, and he's got a big bag of Skittles. And we've got little packages with the rainbow on it for anybody that wants one to take home. Now, Skittles are very bad for you. I don't recommend that you eat them. But if you want to keep this little package and use it as a reminder of the challenge, which is if you can create a safe place, these sort of miracles can happen. I feel in my day-to-day life that, I don't surf. I've never surfed. I'd probably fall off a skateboard if it was glued to the ground. But I can imagine how thrilling it is to ride on a surfboard, to feel just propelled forward by a kind of a mountain of water. And that's what it feels like for me every day with the writers that we've got and the staff. You can be propelled forward by people that you work with if you can help provide them a really safe place. And so that's an opportunity for all of us and something that I want to keep working on. So thank you very much.